Hi, this is Barbara Sanders, and I'm trying something I haven't tried before. And this may be a new direction for my Sacred Metamorphoses channel on YouTube here. Um, I spent some of last year and this year interviewing people or having conversations with them about all sorts of things from health and well being to artistic work and creative work to psychedelics to healing methods and services and alternative practices and spiritual stuff. and That's been really fun. And I've also interchanged that with some monologues by myself or reading oracle cards or reading poetry I've written. And so all of a sudden, while listening to a David Clements meditation, who I highly recommend, people will get tired of me saying this, but Dr. David Clements with Infinite Source Creations has amazing philosophy, theology, embodiment of his working with his teams of Arcturians and all sorts of teams of inner beings, outer beings, and higher selves. And his meditations with the Patreon group with Infinite Source Creations has been a wonderful, fabulous thing for me in the last 6 to 8 months. And I highly recommend him. Enough about that, though. So, what I thought I would do after having done a meditation of his is to just speak a few things. I don't usually do this impromptu and without notes, but I'm going to. And I'm also going to read you two poems, I think, of mine that I've written recently. And if you want to subscribe to my channel at Sacred Metamorphoses, please subscribe. If you'd like to see my website, it's called cosmic-mystic.com. That's cosmic-mystic.com. And feel free to look at that. And also, let's see, there was one more thing. If you want to look at my Substack posts, I am at bsanders, I think at substack.com. I'm not sure how that comes out, but bsanders at substack.com. So those are all the announcements I want to make, and I'd like to start by reading a poem I wrote most recently. And I find myself stumbling over words, and you'll hear me clearing my voice, and I deal with my own human body like we all deal with our human bodies, which is to make the best of it and deal with whatever issues we have with our humanity and human bodies, as well as projecting light and brightness and love into the world. So you will hear me clear my throat some. So this first poem is called The Great Breakdown and Breakthrough, with a subtitle called Surrendering Our Shells. And these pieces of writing or poems just come through me. I've written all my life. I've loved to write all my life. And somehow, since I've been more semi-retired than I had been a few years ago, I've had more time and energy to devote to meditation and spiritual practices and sacred revolution circles and all sorts of wonderful retreats with Tammy Roth and other people like Katie Todd and Emily Trinkus, and Mother Ocean retreats down at St. George Island. So I have a whole litany and what is the term? Ancestry lineage, that's the term, to tell you about someday, of all the many practices and groups and people and mentors and teachers, including my son and husband, to tell you about, but I'll do that later. So this one's called, again, The Great Breakdown and Breakthrough, Surrendering Our Shells. Blazing bright light pours in, blinding some, opening the eyes of others. Tears flow, letting go. Some shade their eyes or shut them tightly, instinctually, not ready to be absorbed into the oneness without much control or certainty. Some keep protecting their hearts as they have had to do all of their lives, and I would add, as we have all had to do all of our lives. But back to the poem. Without much control or certainty, some keep protecting their hearts as they have had to do all of their lives, quite so, given horrible human tragedies and sorrows. Free will abounds continuously, and we can choose what we take in, what we let go of, and what we refuse to allow. And just to add, that's taken me 70-something years to learn how to do some of, and so it's a continual process that we don't just jump into or dive into or find one spiritual guru or meditator or wise person or crone to follow, and they can give us everything. I will just say, the life cycle is a whole huge process of us learning, surviving, developing coping skills and defenses to help us survive in this life, and then to be able to not just survive, but just to thrive, as people say, and to also experience joy and pleasure and things that we might not have been able to do when we were not just closed down or shut off, but when we're still using our survival skills and our coping mechanisms, which we can thank for all that they have done for us, because they helped us get to this place, all of us. They helped us to get wherever you are. And then as we challenge some of our thinking and we do some of our own healing work, whether it's in psychotherapy or alternative practices, body work, psychedelics, spiritual practices, all sorts of ways people can heal. And as we get into that healing work, we can experience more, I think, of our higher selves, as David Clements calls them, or these spiritual beings around us that are not boundaried from us, but we are actually symbiotic with. And these are not cloak and dagger ETs or necessarily, maybe you have some of those, but these are not necessarily, people from afar or humanoid bodies or robots or any of that AI stuff. These are what surrounds us and has surrounded us, I think, all of our lives, and that we have maybe never known about or paid attention to, or really found enough structure, which was not just in a religious organization, which some people find that structure very helpful. And I grew up in those kind of institutions, and they were very helpful to me, but I did grow through or out of them, partly because, gosh, I'm going on without talking about this poem. Anyway, without needing to have as much structure and organization, which also breeds sometimes corruption and chaos and conflict in these groups and institutions of people of all sorts. So we sometimes have to come back to ourselves, and that's what I've learned to do since, throughout the years. I've learned over time to do this. It's not been one thing or one enlightenment or one piece of epiphany or revelation. It comes and goes and comes and goes, and I do believe that if we center in ourselves and find a way to use all of our resources, including humanity, including animals, including plant life and trees and nature, and we are part of nature, and the Mother Earth, Gaia, and all the galactic and cosmic energies and forces around us. Again, we don't need to make them artistic pieces like this beautiful octopus over here that I have on my wall. It's not just things we can visualize, but I hear when I write things that come through me, and lots of people have claircognizance, clairvoyance, and all that. There are 5 clairs, I think, clairaudience. Probably I have that. Anyway, there are all sorts of, again, structures we can put ourselves into and label ourselves. Am I a channel? Am I a poet? Am I an artist? Am I a human being connected to spirit? Am spirit, being in a human body? There are all sorts of ways to be able to process this world we're in as humans, and to get along, and to find ways to thrive, and to search for, seek for, and hopefully find the best ways for our unique bodies, our unique minds and hearts to connect deeply with those around us, with inside of us, and with spiritual life around us, which is all one thing. So you'll hear me write. A lot of my poetry is about oneness and one thing and one body, one collective, one connection, because I truly believe that these days. I haven't always believed that. And we still, as you will see in my writing, talk in dualities. We talk in words, language, so that we can communicate to each other. And I found lately words just don't seem to represent well how I feel and what I experience, or as well as I wish. But I keep writing because it's still, things come through me and I want to share them. Maybe partly for attention. I was always someone who liked to get attention, but mostly these days to share with others, to see if there's any resonance between us and resonance within you with what I'm writing and hearing, so that you can go about your lives and so that you can share what you're learning with others. And I think that's what it's all about, is our becoming clearer within ourselves, getting more peaceful and calmer throughout life, and then sharing it and connecting with the world outside of us and all around us and within us, everywhere, and try to help humanity and the planet and all living beings find more sacred space and sacred connection than ever before. You will hear Dr. David Clements and astrologers and all sorts of people talk about how there's a new human coming, or there's a new earth coming, and there are things and forces and energies coming in December this year and then throughout 2026 that may change the world, without any specific predictions about what that is or how it will happen or how we hang on and live. It's not like the world's going to end or humanity's going to end, or I don't think so, not anytime soon. But with the development of AI, there's a lot of fear, even more fear than with just the corruption of our governments and leaders and all the chaos. I won't go into that right now. But as I realized when I'm talking that I interrupted my poem, I'm going to go back and start over. And I can talk some more later, but it seems like my writing, whatever came through me, has prompted me to say some of the things I wanted to say anyway. And I appreciate that. Talk about the unexpected. So this one, I'll start back over, is the great breakdown and breakthrough, surrendering our shells. Blazing bright light pours in, blinding some, opening the eyes of others. Tears flow, letting go. Some shade their eyes or shut them tightly instinctually, not ready to be absorbed into the oneness without much control or certainty. Some keep protecting their hearts, as they and we have had to do all of their lives and our lives, quite so, given human horrible tragedies and sorrows. Free will abounds continuously, and we can choose what we take in, what we let go of, and what we refuse to allow inside us. We may handle this process consciously and often unconsciously. We still feel fear and are not easily ready for the great breakdown and breakthrough. Sailing into that space requires such a huge release and surrender. We imagine our systems may not be able to get through the breakdown in order to break through. We breathe deeply over time, becoming more open and willing within in order to resonate better with the divine mysteries and our higher selves who assist us so beautifully. We don't have to do anything exactly, except to continue to heal ourselves as much as we can so that we can expand with this rising, magnificent metamorphosis as we crack out of our highly protective shells so that we can progress into other dimensions, experiencing higher evolutionary frequencies than we have ever known before. The structures are already dissolving, changing into something different. Our minds, hearts, and bodies are also transforming if we allow ourselves to connect deeply, both within and with Source. tired of living the ways we have lived until now. Some of us throw caution to the wind and dive in ready and willing, open-hearted and trusting, seeking to bear our souls and our bodies, gliding into the swarming miasma and murkiness of what we do not yet know, hoping to breathe while the clearing is happening. Only then can we see what we may never have seen before, felt in ways we may never have felt before, becoming aware of so many truths more purely and vividly. Only then will we know more fully the very good news. Breaking down breaks through. And I'll say that again, breaking down breaks through, dissolving but not collapsing. Then we can receive and rest, glowing and radiating, illuminated in grace and peace. And that was just written in the last week. I will say a few more things before I start this next poem, or maybe it will trigger me to say more. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening and being supportive of me and all peoples who want to create a better life on this world, on this planet, in this lifetime. And we can talk about past lives, we can talk about our ancestors and descendants, and we can try to heal ourselves. I'll mention Tammy Roth again. Part of what helped me so much has been family constellations that I have done in person with her over time. And family constellations is a wonderful practice where not only do we supposedly, and I believe this to be true, help heal our ancestors, but we can heal forward some of our progeny, our descendants, those who come after us, not just in our families and with our blood. But my mission and goal in life is to live the best I can live with the resources that I have, and to be as generous and compassionate and peaceful as I can be, because I think only then can I share with others more completely and fully what I feel so blessed to experience. And it's not anything I have necessarily, not materials. It's how I was given this life, into the family I was born into, with all its struggles and its complications, and have found a way to speak to you, to finally speak in my writing and in other ways, so that I can carry out and perhaps interpret and translate some of the things I'm hearing from not only outside but my mentors and those people I listen to and believe have a gift of knowledge and wisdom that I seek and want to experience more of, that sacred wisdom that comes from having been directly connected with the divine mysteries and experienced the love, which is really the word for divine source, the love that is present for all of us and is available to all of us. And there are ways to get there, and they're all unique to each of us, so we have to find our own ways. There's no one recipe to follow. And I still have hope for the human race. I still have hope for relationships and love being shared between people and animals and plants and fish and water and all the parts and elements, fire, earth, water, and air, where I live now in the air a little bit, and I really love being in the air. I'm a fire sign Sagittarian with a rising ascendant in Aries, which is also fire. I had an astrologer once say to me, only in the last 2 years, "You have too much fire." And I thought, that's why I had to go down to Florida for a while to douse myself with water to put some of the fire out, but not really. It was to help bring water and fire together and keep my spark, but also to calm me down instead of being as jacked up as I think I've been throughout life, working hard, being busy, doing all the human things I was taught to do and to do well at them, and hopefully to succeed in life. And that really has been an interesting life for me. It has been informative and has taught me so much, And again, I hope to share that with you to help you know that still change can happen even at this late age, and that we can go forward. And with that, I'm going to read one more poem. This one was written before the last one that I read you, and it's called Immortal Fruit, a Tiny Taste. Immortal Fruit, a Tiny Taste. Let me take a sip here. Just a second. Okay. After the hurricane has swept through, the weather clears and chaos is silenced. We enter into a state of simple bliss. When the wildfire has burned itself out, as the ashes cool, we walk more easily into the everlasting field of grace and love. Once finished with battles and waging war, our despair, fear, and greed diminish. Then we notice the sun and the moon once again. After wrangling around and tangling into knots, when we give up the desire to control every part of our life, we experience the deep love that harmonizes us. Once we move past the conflicts and craziness of life, while we breathe more deeply more often without barriers, we burst out of our shells and see and feel the delight. That's a capital D, the delight. As the unfolding of evolutionary dynamics becomes apparent, when the dark energies in which we have dwelled are released, a surge of safety and joy emerge spontaneously and peacefully. When we offer to each other the ecstasy that we experience, when we share ourselves with all the energies of living beings, we turn toward the divine presence imbuing us. Once we give up so much attention to the details of physicality, when the material world becomes less and less important, we brighten and glow, releasing all unnecessary stress. When we glide into a dissolving state of surrender, as we let go, we crawl into quantum leaps of faith, tasting the delicious, immortal fruits of pleasure and play, which is all that we have ever really wanted for ourselves and for others throughout the cosmos, manifesting hope and trust while abiding in total bliss, unbounded, liberated, and free from all shackles, altered, changed, transformed into love itself, overflowing with great compassion, eternal joy, always and forever. And so it is. And with that, I will close this time with you. And I have several more things to say and talk about, and I'm feeling a renewed energy to do that. So I'll probably be posting most often on Sacred Metamorphoses and Substack. And I hope you will share with us. If you would like to have a conversation with me online and publish it on YouTube, feel free to let me know. I will be careful. The people I've talked with so far I have known very well, so I will need to get to know you a little bit first if I don't know you, and then we can talk about conversing online. I wish you all the various, that's a nice new word, the veriest, V-E-R-Y-E-S-T. I have a friend that loves vocabulary, and I tell her about words I make up. So there's the new one, various. I hope you have the veriest, happiest holiday season this year, and breathe deeply and slowly and rhythmically to find your own inner peace and calm during even these stressful times. Thank you for listening. Many blessings to everyone.